Is your Google Pixel 9 and Google spying on you? Is it keeping tabs on you and paying attention to everything you do and keeping you from having full ownership and control over your phone? No, but some people would lead you to believe that based off of a recent, I guess, news article that came out because a agency by the name of Cyber News found quote unquote troubling patterns of data transmission and remote access, according to some findings that they did. So basically, and I'm going to summarize this because thankfully the nice people over at Android Police wrote a full article on it. But yes, an investigation raised alarms about potentially Google monitoring your information. They found that your phone sends personal information, like personal info like location and email, to Google every 15 minutes using a technique that intercepts data flow. And Google denies this claim. So about every 15 minutes, apparently your Pixel 9 phone, maybe other Pixel phones, because they only did this on the Pixel 9 series, or Pixel 9 Pro XL, it sends your email address and your location data to some sort of a Google server for authentication, I guess is what it is. So they were able to intercept this data in some sort of a mannerism called the man-in-the-middle technique. I guess they somehow got it to send the information to them in the middle instead of it going all the way back to the server like it was supposed to. So yeah, it also highlights the phone regularly checks in with Google, sharing details like firmware version, network type, whether that's Wi-Fi or mobile, carrier info, and user's email. So there's that. But I don't think it's that big of a deal, one, because, okay, do you really think it's problematic that Google, the company that your phone is associated with, because you have to have a Gmail account to use your phone, is letting it every 15 minutes saying that you have the email it registered with? No, I don't think that's that big of a deal. Location data, I don't really think that's that big of a deal either because, well, your phone needs location data for certain things to be able to manage services and features on your phone. For instance, hey, maybe like your weather. Every time it checks, I mean, there's stuff that it checks on your phone every once in a while. It's like, oh, hey, this is your location, this is your weather, this for where you're at right now. So I don't really think that that's very problematic. Carrier info, no, I don't think that's a problem. And firmware version, what version, software version your phone is running. I mean, it needs to do that so it can check and see what version you're on in case, hey, there's a new version available. That way it can ping your phone and say, hey, you can download the latest version. So people over at GrapheneOS, and it's funny because I make fun of people who try to buy a Google phone and then de-Google it. Like, why are you buying a Google phone to de-Google the phone? Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. Why do you do that? I mean, I get that there's been a thing for the longest time, and it used to be all about Google services. Way back in the BlackBerry days, everybody used to be like, no, Google services is evil. They track everything that you do. Like, everything on your phone is tracked. Like, if you're worried about your email associated with your Gmail account that's recorded and registered with Google that enables you to do things on your phone is being pinged every 15 minutes by Google, then you probably shouldn't have a smartphone. Like, everything is tracked on your phone. That's one of those things, like privacy is an illusion whenever it comes to the world of smartphones, especially nowadays, especially whenever you have contextually aware AI that's available on your phone that knows what's on your phone, that knows what's on your screen, and is being pinged back and forth between when you use Gemini or whatever you ask it questions or whenever you want it to. You're okay with having the AI on your phone summarize all of your emails for you. But no, don't you dare send your Google, your Gmail, your registered Gmail address and your location back to Google every 15 minutes. Heresy. Anyway, so the GrapheneOS people said, look, it goes through connections for the Google Play Network-based location that's offering as an option during the initial setup wizard the optional Google Play account-based device management, Google Play feature flags, Google Play telemetry, etc. It's got a lot of details wrong. iOS has direct equivalents to everything that's covered. If what people take from the article is that they should use a non-Pixel Android phone with Google Play, they'll have a dramatically less secure device with the same privacy issues and additional ones from OEM services. So it seems like these people at GrapheneOS who actually have their own operating system, like these, if people want to de-Google their Google phone, they use GrapheneOS. And I don't know a lot about it. I know people have used it. I know people that swear by it and love it, and that's cool. I'm very happy for you. And Yeah, all that cool stuff. But apparently, their finding is it seems like it has more to do with the Google Play network than it does the actual phone, which, I mean, that makes sense too, because a lot of it has to do with bouncing back and forth, making sure you are who you are where you're supposed to be, making sure you have permissions to use these apps and accounts that you're using, apps that you purchase, purchasing info. I could only imagine probably 50 different scenarios why your phone might need that information, and why Google, who has Google, is Google, and also makes Android, and also has the Google Play Store, and all of these things might need to know your email address and your location every 15 minutes, which, whatever, I don't really care about that. But the report's main concern, according to them, is that, yeah, users are clearly not giving consent for their personal data to be sent to Google. I would largely wager that this is somewhere in a terms of service, terms of conditions. When you sign up for a Google account and agree to use one of their phones, they probably just didn't skim through that very well. But at the end of the day, yes, Apple does the same thing because for the same considerations, they have to make sure you are who you are, you're what you're using, what you say you're using, and also for the other information. Like, there's Google's response, which I'm trying to find where Google's response was in this. Google did have a response to this where they said this is, one, disingenuous because they're not telling you all the information, because what's being reported back could be a lot of different things. Like, they're not talking about the permissions that are open on the phone. They're not talking about a lot of the individual things that are on there. That could be influencing that as well, because if somebody has certain permissions that somebody else doesn't, maybe it is pinging your phone more often. I don't know. We don't know under the circumstances what the settings are and what the different things are in this whole bombshell report thing, which I think is a big nothing burger, which you can Google if you want to know that. Yeah, so Google argued the report misses crucial context, misinterprets technical aspects, and overlooks the need for data transmission for essential device functions like software updates, on-demand features, and personalized services and practices that are standard across all mobile devices, no matter the brand or operating system. So Google's like, you got this contextually wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. Everybody does this. It's required and necessary for us to provide the level of services, functions, and features that you want on your phone. So my whole thought process is, if you're worried about your network data, your network information, like what carrier you're using, and like your IP and your Gmail account and your location to be known by the people who make your phone. And we know that Google is more secure than probably anyone out there. I mean, you could argue Google and Apple the most secure when it comes to this stuff. You've got the Tensor chip in there. You've got the Titan security chip. Like, we know that Google Pixel phones are pretty darn secure. I mean, they even put out their monthly security patches and updates and continually monitoring and trying to make the experience better. And this is not an apologist video for Google. I could make the same video about Apple. They could make a video. They could make the same news article about Apple and say, "Hey, Apple is spying on you by sending this information back and forth." I'm just merely saying we've known for years that this has been happening. We knew this 10 years ago. We knew this 12 years ago. We knew this ever since Android and basically iOS have come out. This is not a new thing. This is just a new iteration of, hey, we'll make the news cycle exciting by talking about the Pixel 9 series phone. The Pixel 9 is not doing probably anything the Pixel 8, the Pixel 7, Pixel 6, the iPhone 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, etc., the S24, 23, 22 are all doing. There are certain functions and features on your phone. Like I said, they need to ping the software version to make sure that you've got the most the most up-to-date version. They need to know your location data so that the way you can provide things like localized services, say even the weather, like I mentioned earlier. They need to know what carrier version that you might be using, so that way they can bounce it back and make sure you're using the latest version, because sometimes you have software versions, they pass through Google, but then of course you got to go through the carrier as well, and different things like that. So there's a lot of data here to sift through when we have a discussion about this. But ultimately, if you're going to use a smartphone in the year 2024, yeah, the people that make it are going to know certain things about your phone. And if we're concerned about your email account that's registered to use the phone, network, what network you're on, what software version you're using, then I really think that that's really silly at this point. So, yeah, I'm trying to see if there's anything else I missed. Yeah, I think that's about it whenever it came to this, but I wanted to discuss it because I saw several articles about it, and Really, this is what we're getting upset over this early in the week or this late in the week in 2024. If you use a smartphone, there is stuff. Hey, just so you know, if you put on your location data on your camera whenever you first use your phone the first time, and it says, "Hey, we want to have your location data for your camera, for your more accurate stuff," when you take a picture, it's going to show exactly where you took that picture with the GPS data. That's been going on for like 15 years. There's so much stuff if you actually dive into it to see where your phone and the people that own your phone or manage your phone and the software on it know about you. I mean, shoot, when you get a lot of these third-party apps, that's a lot of consideration, because when you get these third-party apps, you have to look at the permissions. At least with Google, you have a lot of control. You can go in there and turn off a lot of things like location data. You can look at permissions. You can look and see what these things are. And that was one of the things that Google said too, because they're like, look, some of this data is not contextually accurate because it doesn't capture this stuff, and it doesn't capture, what data sharing permissions this person had on their phone in the first place. But largely, yeah, if you have a smartphone, you're going to have stuff like this is going to happen, and it's par for the course. And I think Google and Apple are pretty secure when it comes to it. See, I'm even giving Apple a compliment. I think Apple does a pretty good job of securing your data. I think Google does a pretty good job of securing your data. When I get the letters in the mail about security breaches, that's not from Google and Apple. But at the end of the day, yeah, you're trusting a lot of information in your phone. And you've got your pictures in there, you've got your personal information in there, you've got your emails in there, you've got your banking information in there. There's a litany of things on this phone that you're trusting. So if you don't trust Google with your email address, then you might want to figure out a different way of doing business. So anyway, that's all I got. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, gripes, complaints, all that stuff, please go to the comment section. I'll do my best to get back with you. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. And as always, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you guys next time.